Hey, everybody, I'm Rick Becker, host of the Irish Baseball Podcast, and today I am excited to be joined by Enda Reilly, the musician. Thank you so much for being here.
You're very welcome. Good to be here. Thanks, Rick.
And Enda is living the musician's lifestyle right now, so if you hear any background noise, it is because he's currently on tour and he is at a rest stop on his way to his next destination. So we really appreciate him giving us a little bit of time here. So I want to start because I saw you for the first time at the Penn-Mar Irish Festival earlier this year in Glen Rock, Pennsylvania, and I was blown away by your ability to write original songs that are in the traditional style and sound like they have been around forever. Like you have a unique ability to write a modern song that sounds like it has been passed down for generations.
Oh, well, thank you very much. That's high praise. That's what we're going for, I guess. You know what I mean? So, thank you very much. I'm delighted you enjoyed them. Yeah, yeah. Because I guess we're part of the tradition, and I learn the old. I try and learn some old songs all the time, in the English language, but also ones that are directly in the Irish language as well, which kind of feel like they're even older, and some of them could be older, and then as a songwriter, I just try and write from all my, inspirations, from all, I love the Beatles and I love, Christy Moore and all the, a lot of different things. So then it just becomes a mix, and we're all part of that chain, if you know what I mean. That's just, and you're just trying to add to, from because now we have a new perspective, of things. It's a unique, it's always a unique time for anyone to be whenever they're around. So that's kind of what we're doing, and with the technology as well, just trying to use what we have now and see what that means for folk songs or tradition and just keep going with it. So that's kind of what I'm at.
So, where are you from? Where did you grow up? And of course, how much did that upbringing influence the type of music that you make? Or did the type of music that you make come along a little later in your development?
No, I think it had a lot to do with my type of music. Yeah, so I'm from Dublin in Ireland, which is the capital of Ireland, the south side, a place called Tallaght in Dublin, and it's one of the suburbs of Dublin. And so I went to school in an Irish language school. So not all of the schools in Ireland are fully in the Irish language. Most are mainly in English, and you learn a little bit of Irish. But I was lucky enough that I learned the language directly in school, and there was a lot of music in the school as well. You'd be taught the tin whistle in school, and then I had the opportunity to learn some violin or fiddle and learn some tunes. And then eventually I wanted to sing. I kind of felt drawn to singing. So I learned the guitar as it seemed the best, accompaniment for that, and yeah. So, and we'd be listening to all different types of music on the radio, and yeah. So it's kind of I was drawn to the folk songs and people like Christy Moore or Dick Gahan, singers like that, or Paul Brady, and then it's just kind of following along in those kind of ways, I guess, is what I've been doing.
So, your suburb of Dublin, where you live, back in 2022, this is a little bit of a tangent. I
Yeah,
walked the length of Ireland's National Famine Way. I walked from the museum in Strokestown all the way along the Royal Canal, and I ended up at the memorial in downtown Dublin. And
right.
I didn't know how long it was going to take me, so I didn't make hotel reservations. So I figured I was going to be finishing the day that, okay, I woke up that morning. I'm like, I think I'm going to be finishing tonight. And the closest hotel I could find was in your suburb. So I had to take a
Oh,
cab from the famine memorial all the way out to the, I think it was like, it might have been like 60 euro or something like that.
right. Was it the
Yeah,
Plaza Hotel or something like that?
yeah, it was right downtown. So it
Yeah,
might have been,
yeah,
yeah. Um,
yeah.
just a funny little side note that that's how far, because Dublin fills up on hotel rooms very, very easily.
Very good. Yeah, yeah. Well, it's not the first time. I presume you're American. It was not the first time Americans had come to Tala. There was a Battle of Tala years back, and the Fenians over from America were a part of it, and so there you go. You were
Okay, well, that is an interesting piece of history, and I'm going to have to learn about it now. So it's the Battle of
yeah.
Talent.
Yeah, yeah, I remember hearing a little bit about. I don't know an awful lot about it myself, but there was definitely the Fenians who had been over in America. They had come over and were helping the Irish fight against the English there in Tala. Yeah, there's an interesting podcast about it. I'll send you a link.
Absolutely, but that's also something that I wanted to mention about your music. So it sort of brings it right around because I know the one song that you did at least about the Irish whiskey fire or the
Oh yeah,
Dublin whiskey fire.
right.
Um, I absolutely loved that song. It was one of my favorite songs. I actually recorded you performing it, so I'll send that to you in a link so that
Oh,
you
very
can
good. Thank you.
have
Yeah,
that for your website. But you took a rather obscure piece of history, this fire in Dublin that happened about 100, I think it was like when I saw you perform it, it was almost the anniversary of it, like the
yeah.
150th
It was in
anniversary.
June. Yeah. Yeah, 150th year. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Why don't you
Um,
tell the story here a little bit?
yeah. Well, first of all, that was a co-write with other friends of mine. So my name is Enda. There's another Enda. He's Enda Cullen, and he lives in Wicklow, in Ireland. And Aisling Kavanagh, another friend of ours, who's in Scotland. So it was a three-way co-write to get that. And so yeah, the story is that 150 years ago, they in Dublin, in the Liberties area of Dublin, they had uh, stockpiles of whiskey. It was the norm to have the whiskey stockpiled, but didn't a fire break out and found its way to uh, Malone's storehouse, and there was 5,000 barrels of whiskey went up in flames, and so it actually poured out onto the streets. And so, for some people, anybody who has, who was cautious would have run away, but anyone who was thirsty for whiskey ran towards it. And supposedly, people were out with their boots, filling up their boots with whiskey and drinking it from the street. So, and this seemed like manna from heaven for a lot of people. Nobody died in the actual fire, but people died of either alcohol poisoning or what's it called? Perhaps it wasn't so sanitary on the streets at that time. So drinking whiskey off the street was not a good idea. So that's and the song goes into how they stopped the fire, and Captain Ingram, who was the lead fireman, he ordered all of the manure from the horses to be brought, and they mixed it with gravel, and they create these kind of berms or walls, and they were able to stop the fire that way spreading. So yeah, it's an interesting piece of that story of Ireland.
And I think one of the things about the song that I really love is it kind of takes that Irish dark sense of humor or the ability to kind of have a laugh even about a situation that
Right,
isn't necessarily all happy. Because, like you said, 13 people died, but none of
right.
them because of the fire.
Of the fire, yeah, 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 yeah.
So
It's
it really
yeah.
is expressed in the way that the three of you wrote that song. And it was one of the things that really struck me.
Right. Yeah, it was something we were, aware of because we're telling the story as it happened, but also kind of trying to have a lighten up the mood, like the stinking, what is it that the Dublin's with that blessed stinking fire, So in a way, it's blessed because it's manna from heaven or whatever, But then it's stinking as well, So it's kind of there's a kind of there was a duality there, and we were trying. Then there's a verse that kind of you know a proper nod to the people who did pass away or whatever, But it's kind of yeah, yeah. It was a tricky one to maneuver, because yeah, you don't want to make too light of it either. Yeah.
Absolutely. But I thought that, it really hit that Irish sense of humor to, not
Right.
downplay it, but
Yeah.
we can laugh at ourselves, and that's a
Right.
fun thing.
I'm glad
So
that came across. Thanks. Yeah.
so when you are playing a festival and you have played a lot of them and you continue to play a lot of them,
Yeah.
do you find it's a balancing act to try to put together your set list? Because a lot of people are going to want to be seeing the traditional Irish songs. They come expecting to see some traditional Irish songs, but you also know they might end up seeing those songs 6, 7 times over the course of the day.
Right.
And
Right.
you really want to be promoting your unique individual, originals. So do you find yourself kind of making up the set list as you go because you're trying to feel the mood of the crowd, or do you set out and write it out and you're prepared from the beginning?
Both is pretty much the answer. So I'll have a set list, but I won't necessarily stick to the set list. Because and I'll make the set list on the day, usually, referring to older set lists and that kind of thing and what's been working well. And it's a total balancing act, because really, there's always a pull towards, wanting to have maybe a band sound, a bigger sound. I'm a solo artist, so you're kind of going, okay, you have a little kick thing sometimes, and one might use to kind of give it a bit of a lift, or even some looping with the newer technology, which is fun. But again, I don't want to be doing that all the time. Sometimes I'll sing a song a cappella because that's actually my kind of favorite thing is just singing, But so it's tricky because then you've got like songs like Caledonia or um the Wild Mountain Time, and so our Molly Malone people, that one works, So I do sing these songs as a way to kind of link me back, and give people what, because a lot of people will be going, well, we want the Irish music, and American Irish people have a certain idea of what Irish music is, So I don't want to totally destroy that by just singing, very personal singer-songwriter kind of songs, which I do have too, and I will throw in a few of them as well, But I feel like I need to meet people halfway. In a sense, it's kind of I need to meet people halfway, to entertain them too, but then to bring them in, and they go, oh, he sang a song that I like, and then I'll go, well, here's one I wrote myself, and so you're it's a kind of a it's a tricky interaction to try and do. But on the other point of like, yeah, I don't feel, because being over here from Ireland, I'm always also thinking, well, what have I got to give to the community? And is it to sing Whiskey in the Jar for the fourth time today? Not always, sometimes, but if I hear other bands doing stuff, a lot of times I'll go, okay, they're getting that today, so that's not my role, if you know what I mean. So yeah, it is tricky, I think, and in that that's part of you know yeah, what am I on the planet for? What am I at this festival for? What can I bring to the table? And yeah, so that's kind of the crack. So that's for me as a solo performer. I have that freedom to change up the set whenever I want. I don't have to let somebody in the band down or something.
Well, and
Uh,
I imagine that you use these festival appearances as a way to draw in new fans. So you understand that, maybe you don't get to play the personal singer-songwriter songs now, but if this tour of different festivals gets you fans, then the next time you're over in America, then you can
yeah,
throw in more of those singer-songwriter songs because you've developed a fan base. So you're going to start to have people who are showing up for you more than you're trying to make an impression.
right, right. Yeah, and it does work that way. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think so. Yeah, because people know you better, so then you can give more personal things as you go. Yeah, yeah. And that's I've kind of got that now a little bit with the website. My new thing is it's called it's a kind of fan subscription area of the website where I've got some, I'm sharing more. Oh, when I'm rehearsing, I can just put the phone on and go, oh, here's a new song I've been working on. What do you think? That kind of a little bit more uh, raw kind of stuff. And I think getting feedback from my biggest fans is great as well. So that's one element of the new area, which I released only a few weeks ago. So yeah.
That's amazing. It's always looking for different ways to get the music out there, and I love to hear that. What have you found on this trip throughout the United States? What are some places that maybe you played and you didn't expect them to be
Yeah.
quite as rowdy or as interesting, but you really, were pleasantly surprised?
Yeah, well, Rick, let me clear something up then because I actually moved to the States with my wife a number of years ago. She's from America, from Michigan. So we've actually moved over here now. So I'm based in Michigan, not too far from Detroit, actually. So but yeah, I've been uh going to different festivals. Penn-Mar is always a wonderful one-day festival. I love it. We've got our local one in Motor City, um, in Michigan, which is a great festival. And I've just come from the Iowa Irish Festival. And what brought me to Iowa, the Iowa Irish Festival is in a place called Waterloo, which is was the home of the five Sullivan brothers, who there was a movie called The Fighting Sullivans, and they fought in World War I, and their motto was "We stick together," and they went down with the ship. So I wrote a song about them, having been to Buffalo Irish Festival a few years ago. And after that's where the Sullivan ship is, and we did a little tour of the ship, and then my friend Tommy from the Byrne Brothers said, "Andy, you should write a song about that," and I did. And then the people in Iowa heard, because that's where the Irish Fest is, and so it's pretty cool the way writing a song and can open doors in certain instances. And it was an honor to get to sing that song for um uh, for the granddaughter of one of the five brothers.
Oh.
Yeah, in Iowa there last year, in fact. So yeah, so that's it's interesting, the things that that happen, and that's what we want is, to be writing, creating art, and then for it to, have something tangible in the real world happen.
So I actually knew that story about the Sullivan brothers, and it is very interesting because the United States military did not want the five brothers to serve together. They did not
Right.
want all of the brothers in a family to potentially be lost. So it was really rare for them to not only send five brothers, but to send them to the same place. And they had to almost fight, like you said, to stick
Yeah.
together. So the um their mother became a five gold star mother, and that was, I think, the only one, or not many people lost that many children because they just didn't allow that many children to go
Right.
together. So it definitely is a unique story, and I guess I never put the two and two together, but I guess they probably were Irish American with a last name
Yeah,
like
they were.
Sullivan.
Yeah, they were. They were very Irish American. They kind of there's actually a little recording of them singing an Irish song. I can't remember which one now. Kind of like the Clancys or something, But all five of them singing a little bit of an Irish song. I think it's one of them classic "When Irish Eyes Are Smiling" or something like that. And it's kind of cool to hear them do that. And yeah, so that's been I'm learning all the time about, and that's part of this as well, mentioning the Clancys. That's they were very Irish American so I've been listening to a lot more of those to kind of just learn about the history of Irish America, because being from Ireland, I know my own history fairly well. I'm still learning about that too. you know so but it's good to know what look back and to see the history of Irish music in America, because it has its own story to tell as well.
What are some growing pains that you've had in the transition from living in Ireland to now living the past few years in the United States? Has that been a big adjustment for you, or has it gone pretty smoothly?
um yeah, well, we stayed with my parents-in-law for a while first, and then my wife found a job and we moved to Detroit. And yeah, so it's been just finding my footing here, and balancing doing festivals to what do I do when I'm not off at the festivals. Teach a bit of guitar during the week locally, which is nice to, you know, teach the next generation some music, and keep a little bit of income coming in during the week. And then you know um, getting to know the local Irish community and trying to be part of that, and in Detroit has been fun as well. And then just finding my place within the community here. The other thing I like doing is performing in libraries, because it suits my temperament to you know chat to people. Maybe people don't people might know some of the songs, but they don't always. You don't always sit down and go, "Oh, what exactly is happening in Danny Boy?" Or you just kind of, you know, you've got a feeling about what things are from just hearing it, or the context that you've heard these things, and maybe you haven't learned all the words. So for me as a singer who's kind of ingested, or not ingested is probably not the right word, but who kind of just been singing songs for years. I kind of the meaning of them kind of becomes more apparent over time. And for me, what people tend to like is when I give that context and then sing the song, and then they get the understanding of it. That there's a deeper connection to the culture then, from that. And in a library situation, and in an Irish festival situation, that works really well. So it's kind of, yeah.
So, one of the recurring themes that I'm getting from this conversation, like, first of all, from songs like the one about the Sullivans and the one about the Dublin Whiskey Fire, and then you talking about teaching guitar, but then also wanting to play these library gigs. One of the purposes of the Irish American Baseball Society is we want to pass baseball and Irish culture to the next generation. We have Irish language classes. We try to support all different types of youth baseball and high school baseball and things like that, but also we just want to preserve the culture. So sometimes we'll just talk about different Irish topics so that the next generation is learning about these things. And that really seems to be a focus of what you're doing musically, is you're not just taking the traditional Irish songs, you're taking the traditional Irish style and writing new songs, and you're telling the stories behind those traditional Irish songs. So you are taking the culture and you're really making it palpable for the next generation. And I think that's really important because there's a lot of great stuff that happens in the United States when you have different cultures mixing and interacting, and you have people sharing their cultures. And, we get to go to Hispanic festivals and have empanadas and watch mariachi bands, and they can come to Irish festivals and
Yeah,
have
yeah. See
cabbage
different.
and watch
Yeah.
the Irish music. So, do you think that preserving the culture and preserving this way of life, this type of music, is something that is a real focus of yours when you're writing?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's partly my own interest in where, what connects me to Ireland. And now having left Ireland, it becomes even more of a focus of something to connect you back, you know. But, I'm not alone in that I feel everyone's looking for meaning in life, and having that, oh, where did my people come from, and go, oh, they came from Ireland. It's like you want to naturally just learn more about that. But I guess like I'm looking at aspects of mythology or folklore or history, that and trying and putting them into songs, maybe aspects that hadn't been looked at in songwriting, maybe in Irish songs before as well. So that's kind of what I'm using. Like my brain thinks in terms of songs as well. So I'm literally learning as I go. It's my way of processing the world and connecting to Ireland. And so it kind of does a few different things for me. And then it's like if other people, you know, get get something out of it, then that's bonus. So it's yeah, and it's you're always hoping a song will connect to like you get a hit song, as it were, and it's nice when that happens. And I've one song that arguably that has really made that. It was a co-write with Aoife Scott, and she has been singing it. I do my own version as well. It's called "All Along the Wild Atlantic Way," and Aoife got it to number one in Ireland a number of years ago. And at the Irish festivals, most people would know it. So it was a great calling card for me going to the festivals. People go, "Oh, I like that song," and so it's great to have the song kind of as an advocate for me beforehand. Yeah.
So, what's one or two things that you really miss from Ireland?
Oh, one or two things. I think the when you're doing, I think when I lived in Dublin, and this could just, I think it is fairly unique to Ireland. Well, it's when I lived in Dublin, for example, as a musician, I could be out and I might have a a gig or a show or something, but then I might have anything after that. And just the what would you know the you could have a great evening and you wouldn't know where you'd end up in some pub on the other side of town or something because someone's playing over there. These kind of not a, a kind of a rambling evening where you weren't expecting to end up at an outdoor show in a park or in a pub having a sing song with some people or whereas I feel in America because there's bigger distances between things. You kind of have to be more mindful of okay, we booked our tickets for this event and we're going, and and then the event is over and we go home. Whereas in Ireland, it's like in Dublin, because we lived in Dublin, you could walk home. It was like there was no rush to go home. So that could just be, but for me, that's been a thing I miss. And when I go back, it's nice to kind of that some of my friends are still out there and performing in pubs in Dublin and in a more relaxed fashion. It's not sometimes it's not so professional in terms of they're loading in the equipment. It's more acoustic. As if everything is a bit more chilled and that kind of thing. So that's something that's different. And that's pretty cool about Dublin anyway, but other areas of Ireland too, So I miss that. Obviously, I miss my family, my ma, and my brothers and sister, and but I get to see them every now and then, So that's good. But yeah, so they'd be the main things I'm missing.
And I know the cheese. That's the one thing I still miss.
Jeez, right,
The
right, right.
cheese is the dairy products in general are just so much better
Yeah,
over there. Um, I really liked that answer a lot. I think that you'll find as you're here longer that some of the bigger American cities, if you're staying in the city, you'll end up having nights like that. But
right.
it's
I was saying, I
definitely
was wondering, maybe
harder.
it's a city thing, perhaps. Yeah, yeah, yeah. But the thing is, Dublin's so walkable as well. You don't have to get in the car, or it's all about getting the bus. Right? And I know some cities are like that, but not Detroit, being the motor city.
No, yeah,
uh,
it's definitely more of an East Coast thing than some of the
right.
Midwestern cities. Um, Enda, this is a really great conversation. Why don't you let everybody know where they can go to hear more of your music and to find out when you're playing in different areas?
Yeah. So my website is the best place, endareilly.com, which is ENDAREILLY.com. And there you can join up my mailing list, and I send out more details. But there's a tab that shows my shows, so you can keep an eye on where I'm performing there. And also once a month or so, I do a live stream show, usually on a Saturday or Sunday at noon Eastern time, because that means it's 5 o'clock in Ireland, and so I can get people tune in from Ireland and from America. And during COVID, I was doing it weekly, but I've kind of scaled it back to monthly. A lot of people were doing it and then just stopped, but I get a nice a buzz out of it, if you know what I mean. It's I find it really fun to do, and I don't it that kind of one. I usually don't have a set list. There might be a few songs or people request the song, and so every time it's a bit different, So that's where people can get me at the website endareilly.com.
And I want to say for anybody out there who listened to this interview, when you go to Irish festivals, sometimes there are like the real upbeat bands or maybe a more of a Celtic or an Irish rock band, and they'll sort of blow you away with spectacle. And I feel like when I saw Enda, he blew me away with his songwriting and with just the way he performs, that he could be on stage, just him and a guitar, and it could really make you, in awe just as much as people who are bringing a lot of bells and whistles. So I really think it is worth it. Take the time, check out his music. Enda, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're very welcome. Thanks, Rick.